Suck it.
But he was one of the guys that I guess was in Area 51 and was one of the main guys. But he basically said, what's going to happen is, and he talked about 9/11. He talked about the pandemic, and he said the next thing will be the aliens or the false flag alien attack from our own government. And this guy laid this out on his deathbed, and everybody was like, what? Because all those things, none of those things.
False flag alien
False
attack.
flag alien. And they were building alien shit. I mean, again, I don't believe in absolutes. I don't know if this is true or not. I take everything with a grain of salt. Like, because the other thing too is you can read something and be like, this seems true. And then you go look it up and it's, and it's not. But this man supposedly on his deathbed said these things. So, I mean, I could honestly put it this way: people kill people for tennis shoes. Why would people not do the craziest shit to stay in power?
But okay. The only thing I have is because do you watch Skinwalker Ranch?
I watched some of it, and I know there's something weird going on.
The new stuff is pretty compelling. I mean, basically, Travis Taylor drew out what the thing looks like, and they have a groove in the middle of them, the sphere things they're seeing.
Yeah.
So they're made out of metal.
Yeah.
They're definitely made out of metal, and they're definitely built by somebody.
But I mean, we again look at all the technology that we picked up in the last 20 years. It's pretty astronomical, and there's probably stuff that we don't know about. Again, was there a ship that they? Because I think when the alien,
Travis Taylor would know.
Yeah, but the thing is
he was the head of the UAP task force, the Pentagon, and the guy's he's one of the top 5 smartest men in the world. Period. I mean, I think he has. 5
I know
PhDs.
Elon Musk too. They were like, "Do you know? Are there aliens?" He's like, "I think I would know if there were." But is it that they're not going to tell us?
I think Elon Musk knows exactly what's going on. I think he's not going to tell anybody shit. I think he probably works hand in hand with the fuckers.
Yeah.
But, I mean, with the aliens.
Well, that's pretty good down. Okay, you really want to go into talk Alex Jones?
Yeah.
and he's the one who says that basically all lysergic acid and all that stuff and mushrooms and everything is the way that you actually can communicate with aliens, and that's why it's illegal, because if all these people started communicating using these drugs, then all of a sudden we'd have an open conversation.
I did not know that.
Yeah, he had a whole thing about ayahuasca and stuff. He says that all of that allows you to communicate with the aliens, and that's why they made it. Again, this is just that's him spouting shit. I don't know.
DMT. Have you done DMT before?
No, I've not.
I have one time, but I didn't do too much of it. I did enough for the place to turn into a candy store.
Oh, okay. No.
The whole thing was just candy. My guitars were candy. Everything was candy looking. And I was just about to do another huff of it, and I was like, no, man, I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm there. I'm okay. I'm ready to come back home to Earth and be okay.
Yeah, I'll be all right. Yeah. So I mean,
it did give me a hangover. Them saying that doesn't affect you is bullcrap.
Of course it does.
I was just like, whoa! It was like the hardest acid trip you could ever imagine.
How long is it?
It was 15 minutes.
Oh, so it's just a super quick.
Yeah, a lot of the guys that are on Wall Street do it at lunchtime.
Really?
Yeah, and stuff like that. That's what I've told. Joe Rogan talks about it a lot because he loves that stuff, and because it is clarifying for some reason. It makes you clear. But I didn't go to the other side and talk to the aliens, but he has. He talks about the little people that he talks to, and everybody talks to the same guys.
And that's one of the things that Alex was talking about. But again, are they aliens? Is it a different dimension? I believe that there's a divine being, so I believe that there's a God. So, but in what sense is God? Is God a universal energy or something else? I mean, I won't know until I die. But I mean, right now you kind of you don't see the wind, but you believe in it. You know it's there. You feel it.
I had a buddy tell me that he uses DMT for God to be his chiropractor. And when I saw him do it, he's like doing all this crazy stuff and popping his back is popping and stuff. It freaked me out, man. I was like, man, dude, that's it. I ain't ever doing that shit again.
I mean, or would it be really good? I mean, I bet God's a hell of a chiropractor. He's not going to mess you up, but I wonder if he's like, okay, we're going to be on a regiment. You need to come back for the next 2 months. Most chiropractors, they just want to.
I want you to do your stretches. Yeah. I want you to make sure you don't sleep on this side. You sleep on the other side. It's like, what the fuck?
I mean, it's crazy because again, like going back to to like kind of the insanity. There's so many arguments, and I feel crazy. And I think part of the mission of, I mean, let's get down to the fact that I do believe that there are powers that are in the world that want to control the world completely. Like a one world order kind of mentality.
Do you really think that's true?
I do. I do believe that there are people that are at the top of the food chain that do believe that they need to control the masses. They need to control the population. Because this is the only way for the world to survive and for them to maintain their level of eliteness. And I think that's. I mean, there's so many things that lead to that, and then there's so many people come out. And if you look at how they've rolled out so many ideologies and so many things, and I mean, we're so down a rabbit hole now.
Oh, I know.
We're not even dealing with reality anymore. I mean, obviously there's certain things and it's even weirder is we can't talk about the things that we should be talking about. We can't.
I know.
We can't say this is really ridiculous, because if you do, then you upset this group, and this group creates this thing, and so now. And I love that when people call like Donald Trump a fascist, they have no idea what fascism is.
They don't know what fascism is.
Fascism is the fact that you and I, they're subjects right now that you and I are both thinking of that we know we can't talk about.
You're right.
That we both would and have very strong opinions.
Right.
But the moment we like breach that,
we get crucified.
You get crucified. So now what's fascism? But I should be able to say,
isn't that fascism?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's fascism. I should be able to say anything I want. We should be able to talk about it. And the thing is, I can be completely wrong.
I think people are just ignorant, not knowing what fascism is. Fascism is a Hitler dictator. But now here's what fascism is. A reporter is doing 10 years in jail for saying something about Joe Biden. And that I read that today. I didn't get into the article. I just came by it. I kind of got to read that later because I was going late to my meeting.
Well, how about the guy who...
Is that a fact?
Well, there's a guy who made a meme about, like a joking meme about Hillary Clinton, about the election, and he's going to do time. And it's a meme, and it was a joke. It's like
that is fascism.
That's fascism. Like that's
fascism.
Straight up is. I mean, you, as long as you're not like doing something to hurt somebody, but you're posting things. I mean, but now, I mean, they're getting. I guess Canada now is a thing where like if you call someone a name, and I know in England if you pray in public, those things are like those things are. And what's weird, the weirdest part about this to me.
If you pray in public?
Yeah, there's a guy who got arrested for praying silently across from an abortion clinic in England. Silently to himself, the cops came up and arrested him. And it's just like, okay, and then
that's disturbing.
It's very disturbing, and it's disturbing because it's just... That's why, like right now, my right brain is going nuts because I can't even assimilate all this information because I just don't believe it. And I never thought that our world was so swiftly. But then, I mean, maybe it's always been like this, and maybe we're just starting to see it more. But it is pretty amazing that we're completely we have to like walk through a minefield all the time.
And this is why, though, Rick, I'm dead serious. This is why I settled to the simulation thing. Okay, is Japan really there? Remember, I'm asking you that before. And to me, it's not my simulation, even though I have cousins from Japan. Matter of fact, I'm going to get to see them in July.
So what if we got on a plane right now and we ended up in Japan? Would you?
Then it would be in my simulation. It's real. But everything else is just, unless they throw a nuke over here, that doesn't belong to me. That's not part of my world. It doesn't. I'm not saying it doesn't matter. I don't want people in the world to be suffering in some part of the simulation. But they're not in my simulation. And letting the bad part of the simulation creep in is like what we try to do every day. Not let the bad, especially with kids, I don't want my little girl to be around bad people that's going to hurt her.
Right.
And my boys either, but my boys are so freaking rowdy. They're going to be the one hurting people, not
those kids will be all right.
Yeah, my boys will be fine. I mean, they're pretty tough. Brantley's pretty tough. He's a small guy, but man, I mean, he's pretty tough.
They're from you, dude. They're tough.
I got to tell you some stories when we get on. Like, oh my God, some phone calls me and the wife has gotten from the school. It's pretty funny. But it's also, too, like I had to talk with one of them yesterday. I'm not going to say which one on here. Well, I'll say it's Corbett. I took him to eat ice cream, and I said, son, You know, you can't beat everybody up that makes you mad. That's just not how life is. Because if you do, this goes back to letting the simulation creep in. Of course, I didn't tell him this is a simulation. He would freak out. You know, he's 8 years old. But that's how you get bad things to happen in your life, son. If you do things like that, if you promote violence, you're going to get violence. You know, and it's like, now that I promote love more than I do violence, I get more love, you know?
Well, the energy is that this is,
yes.
okay, that to me comes to like religion for me, for where I find God, and my need to be closer to God allows me to be more positive and put more light out into the universe. And to me, those basic rules of what Christianity lays out, and there's a lot of religions that lay out rules, and I think that those are things that if we abide by, we'd have a much more beautiful place. Honestly, if we lived by the 10 Commandments, like really did, we would have no issues. I mean, it's like...
There would be no issues.
There would be no issues. I mean, murder's a crime, right? And yet we have all these people... You know, murder's a crime, and we have all these people doing. You know, they have these, like the gun argument. I hate to get into this a little bit, but I'm going to. It drives me crazy because a gun is an inanimate object. Murder is a crime. There is already a crime for what these people are going to do. So the fact that people are always like, no, it's the gun, stupid. It's like, no, I could lay a gun down here and it would sit all day and wouldn't do anything unless I picked it up.
Actually, you could let it sit there for 100 years and it wouldn't do anything.
Would never do anything. So it's a person. We have a heart problem, a mental problem, all these things. And that's the kind of thing that drives me nuts. And then you try to tell somebody and they're like, well, nobody should have this kind of a weapon or that kind of a weapon. I'm like, if people knew not to murder, it wouldn't matter what kind of weapon they had. Because if you knew not to kill somebody, you could have a bazooka and be like, cool, don't need it. Going to put it back in the corner.
But with the right brain thing.
Yeah. Well, that's exactly when
it's overloaded and there's a weapon around like that, knife, gun, bat, whatever, people tend to think about using those things in a very unsensible manner. And like not going, I know that if I'm mad, the first thing I don't want to be around, I don't want to be around a gun.
Right.
If I'm mad, I don't want that around me, you know. Now, protect my family or protect, you know, because me and you, we carry guns. And you see me post that post.
Yeah, I did. The memories.
I knew you'd love it.
I was like, there you go.
Everybody's like commenting, whoa, yeah, hell yeah. It's like you got an AR-15 up there. We got pistols everywhere.
And it's like, I get it that, believe me, shootings are heinous. They should never happen. But, you know, I guess I'm going to age myself. But when I was a kid and we would go to high school, we'd have friends drive up in their trucks with shotguns in the back. There was never shootings, ever. Right. Kids would come up. We'd have teachers would go out and like look at the guns. Hey, man, I just got a new gun. A teacher would come out and look at it and talk about it.
That's how it was in my school.
And everybody would be like totally cool about it, go on with the day, and no big deal.
Right.
And so okay, what's the difference? It's not the weapon. At one time, you could send a kid down to a drugstore to buy a gun back in like the 50s.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it wasn't like this was happening. So, and the argument, and I have these arguments with people, I'm like, you just need to stop. I get your emotion. You know, the right side of your brain is going insane, like, this is horrific. But let that settle and then be realistic. Again, murder's illegal. That's already the beginning of the argument. So if people aren't going to listen to that, then everything else isn't going to, you know, and not only that, but gun laws don't work because the people are already going to break the law to kill somebody. So why is it,
exactly.
You know, so it's like, and then it just comes back down to if we want to be a community, we do need to start recognizing sick people who have mental illness.
I mean, you want to say things that we can't say.
Yeah, and say things. And it's not to be cruel. It's actually to be kind. You want to be like, no, you cannot do this. This is not reality. You're not going to bend my reality because your reality is all messed up. We need to, like, let's get you back on track. Let's get you back into where, you know, you're functioning better and you'll feel better. But
like, these people think that the world hasn't been fair to them.
The world isn't fair by nature.
Here's the bad news. The world hasn't been fair to anyone.
No.
And there was a certain person I talked to, a real famous guy, the other day on the phone for just 10 minutes. And, you know, I went through this whole thing. This movie director guy hooked me up with it. I'll tell you about it later who it is. But I went through this thing, and I was telling him because he actually called me because I had contacted him through this guy, and I watched his thing, and anyway on YouTube, and so I was out by the lake, and he called me, and I went through this list of things, Rick. I mean, this has happened to me. This record should have been huge. This record, I don't understand. I knew it was a hit record when I got done with it. I mean, after so many records, I'm pissed. I'm mad at the world. I don't know what to do. I got this going on. I got that going on. I want to buy my wife a big house to put her in, and all these things. And at the end of my rant for about 7 minutes, he goes, "Me too." And I said, "But you're
You got everything.
you got everything." He goes, "Oh no, mine's just a bigger scale."
Yeah.
He goes, "Malcolm, I mean, everybody's been through what you've been through. I make movies. I'm in movies that you never see. I'm in movies that flop." And I'm like, "You? Are you serious?" He's like, "Oh yeah, I'm in a lot of movies that flop." He goes, "That's part of the game. And the game is I do 2 movies in a row that doesn't do anything, and then I'll do a big one, or maybe even 10 movies in a row and not do anything." I'm like, "Really?" He goes, "Yeah, I act for a living. This is what I do for a living. It's like a job. It's a hard job to do. You got to lose weight, or you got to gain weight, or you got to do all these things that are could be very unhealthy for you." And he just said, "Man, this is the way life is. Life is just hard."
Yeah, and I think somebody